Rush Limbaugh thinks that Detroit went bankrupt because the blacks drove out the whites. There you have it. So Rush did an appearance on Fox News' On the Record with Greta Van Susteren on Tuesday, and he claimed that unchecked Democratic rule since the last Republican mayor in 1957 created a lazy and bloated culture of out-of-control spending and corruption. So here's his quote. You have massive welfare states where citizens are given things left and right in order to buy their votes. You have no opposition whatsoever. And in the case, you throw race into the mix, you bring on Mayor Coleman Young, who causes riots in 1967 in Detroit. And as an aside, Coleman Young was not elected until 6 years after the riots in Detroit. And he goes on to say that Mayor Young caused a white flight to suburbia, and Detroit is left with nothing but liberal Democrats running it. It is what it is, and any place in this country that has similar circumstances, the same fate is going to happen to him. Rush Limbaugh thinks that blacks drove white people out of Detroit, and that is why Detroit is now bankrupt. Richard, what do you think?
Well, I first think Rush Limbaugh's crazy, but that's nothing new. I've said this time and time and time again. I think Rush Limbaugh's crazy, and I think there's a story behind this, right? So, for the story behind this is that we also learned this week that Cumulus, which is the second radio distributor in the country, second largest radio distributor in the country, is thinking about and possibly going to drop both Rush Limbaugh and Sean Hannity. Mm-hmm. So I think the fact that he's saying these extreme things is, I think, even more of a reason for him to be dropped by Cumulus.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's grasping at straws at this point, trying to
keep his career alive.
Keep his career alive. And, you know, the issue with the advertising things, we saw after Rush's crazy insensitive comments, what was her name?
Sandra Fluke.
Sandra Fluke, right. That across the board, pretty much every talk radio show took a hit from that one comment.
No, exactly. And I think even beyond the fact that every talk radio show took a hit from that comment, I think it also speaks volumes to the fact that, you know, it's almost more expensive to keep Rush than it's like, you know, usually here it's cheaper to keep him. But this time it's more expensive to keep Rush because he's costing them millions of dollars in advertising revenue.
Yeah, Rush is... It's going to be interesting to see how that plays out. I think he probably has a good 5-10 years tops left in him before...
Total.
Yeah, total.
And I mean, I think the other problem that you have here is that when you talk to young people, and we talked about this on the show before, in the GOP report to young people on, you know, a grand old party for a new generation, they ask who is the leader of the Republican Party, and people point to Rush Limbaugh. So when people are pointing to Rush Limbaugh for the Republican Party's problems, or him as the Republican Party leader, and then he goes out and says comments like, you know, the reason why Detroit's going bankrupt is because black people live there, it speaks volumes to what the problem with the Republican Party is. They are going too far to the right. And the other part of that interview, which I think you didn't talk about, or that wasn't in this, you know, in this Maniac, he talks about the whole idea that the Republican Party should not be afraid of going too far to the right. And I beg to differ. I think the Republican Party leaders are having this whole debacle about whether or not they should go all the way to the right or not. And even though they say that, you know, Republican presidents only win when they're far to the right, I don't think that's true. I think if you look at George W. Bush as a model, as much as us progressives hate him, and we should, right? George W. Bush's policies weren't necessarily that far to the right. Like No Child Left Behind, even though it mandated, you know, universal standardized testing, it gave a lot of money to education. George Bush also said a couple times that if Congress had reauthorized the assault weapons ban, he would have signed it. So he's not as crazy right as you want him to be. Neither was Ronald Reagan, who raised taxes. So I think that, you know, Rush Limbaugh is separating himself from his party, but the sad part is that people see him as part of the party. When he makes comments like this, it speaks volumes to why, one, he's a maniac, and two, you know, his party's going in the wrong direction. Hey, Fowler Nation. Thanks to you, we have made our goal of 1,500 subscribers. You can check out our behind the scenes video in the description below this video. But now we need our next goal. We need to get to 2,000 subscribers, and we can't do it without your help. So do me a favor, click that subscribe button, and when we get to 2,000 subscribers, we're going to release a very special video with the Fowler Nation mascot, Larry the Cat.